On a rainy afternoon, a lonely millionaire sat on a park bench, cradling his old blind dog, his last friend in the world. Suddenly, a barefoot boy tapped his arm. "Sir, I can make your dog see again," the child whispered. The man laughed at first, not knowing that by sunset he would be weeping in front of a crowd, changed forever. For as long as he could remember, William Morgan had been alone. His name filled business pages, but his heart remained empty. His wife gone, his children estranged. He lived in a glass tower and rode in silent cars, speaking only to lawyers, assistants, and the occasional doctor. The world thought he had everything, but William's world had shrunk to a single companion, Jasper. Jasper was an old Labrador, his muzzle silver and his gait stiff from too many years spent waiting for William to come home. His eyes had clouded over the previous winter, first just a hint of blue, then a milky haze that crept in until darkness was all he knew. Jasper no longer saw the city's lights, the glimmer of the river, or the gentle face of the man who'd once promised never to leave him behind. Still, Jasper followed William everywhere, nose pressed to his master's knee, trusting every touch, every gentle word. The dog was blind, but his loyalty was unwavering. In truth, it was Jasper who led William now, guiding him through the emptiness of vast rooms and echoing hallways, filling silences that had grown unbearable. Rain tapped steadily at the window as William dressed that morning. He'd made a habit of walking Jasper to the park at the edge of the city, no matter the weather. The nurses disapproved, but he ignored them. Out there, he could disappear. Out there, no one called him sir. He was just an old man and his dog. The park was almost empty that day, the grass slick, puddles shining silver. William sat on a bench beneath an ancient oak. Jasper curled at his feet. He stroked the dog's head, voice soft. "You remember when you used to chase the pigeons here, old boy?" Jasper thumped his tail, sensing the affection if not the words. William stared into the grey sky. Memories surfaced, his children laughing on that very lawn, his wife tossing a frisbee, Jasper bounding ahead, eyes bright with joy. Now all those memories belonged to another life, one that seemed almost fictional. A quiet cough interrupted his thoughts. William looked up. Standing before him was a boy, small, thin, maybe 8 or 9, clothes patched and too big for his frame. His hair was wet, plastered to his forehead, but his face shone with an odd confidence. The boy held a white cane in one hand. He was blind. He seemed to sense William's attention. With a gentle smile, he nodded toward Jasper. "Is he your dog, sir?" William hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, his name's Jasper." The boy tilted his head, listening to the dog's slow breathing. "He's very sad, but he loves you a lot." William's heart tightened. "He's old, and he can't see anymore." The boy bent, extending his small hand. Jasper sniffed, then licked the boy's palm. Without warning, the child whispered, "Sir, I can make your dog see again." William blinked, stunned. "How could you?" The boy shrugged, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. "Sometimes, when you lose something, you find another way to give it back. If you trust me, I can help him." William felt a laugh rise in his chest, bitter and sad. "Son, I've paid the best doctors in the world. There's nothing to be done." But the boy's expression didn't falter. "Sometimes the answer isn't in money, sir. Sometimes it's just in believing." William stared at the boy, a mix of pity and discomfort rising. Was this some cruel joke, some scam? And yet, there was no calculation in the child's voice, just sincerity, so raw it hurt to look at. The boy smiled softly. "Can I try?" Jasper leaned into the boy's side, tail thumping. William hesitated. Then, moved by something he couldn't explain, he nodded. The boy sat cross-legged on the wet grass, drawing Jasper into his lap, whispering words too quiet for William to hear. He touched Jasper's head gently, fingers exploring the blind eyes, the velvet ears. William watched, heart caught in his throat. For the first time in years, hope flickered, small, stubborn, absurd. Rain fell harder. A crowd gathered, umbrellas blooming along the path. No one spoke. No one dared. And as the boy's hands rested on Jasper's head, William realized he was holding his breath, waiting, trembling, afraid to believe. He had no idea that, before the day ended, he would be changed forever. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Rain drummed on the leaves, the city noise fading to nothing but the steady rhythm of water on earth. William watched the boy and Jasper, not daring to move, afraid that the spell would break if he so much as breathed too loudly. The boy sat perfectly still, one hand resting on Jasper's head, the other gently stroking his back. His expression was peaceful, almost meditative. Jasper, normally anxious in the presence of strangers, was calm. His tail thumped softly, and he pressed his snout against the boy's knee. William's mind raced. He wanted to interrupt, to demand answers, explanations, logic. He was a man who understood transactions, not mysteries. But something about the boy's calm, blind face silenced him. Nearby, the rain grew heavier. Water pooled around the boy's shoes, soaking through the threadbare fabric. Still, he didn't flinch or shiver. His lips moved in a whisper, words meant only for the dog. A few passers-by paused, curiosity piqued by the sight. A barefoot blind boy in rags, an old dog resting his head in the boy's lap, and a millionaire sitting silently beside them, looking as lost as a child. A young woman with an umbrella slowed as she passed, her eyes flicking between the odd trio. A couple pushing a stroller paused under the oak, watching quietly. Soon, half a dozen people stood at a polite distance, unsure whether to intervene or just observe. William barely noticed them. His entire world had narrowed to the circle of grass where the boy and Jasper sat. Minutes passed, 3, then 5, then 10. Finally, the boy leaned down and pressed his forehead to Jasper's. He whispered, "It's all right. You can open your eyes, old friend." Jasper let out a deep sigh, the kind a dog gives when he knows he's safe. The boy gave his back a gentle pat and then turned his sightless face toward William. "He's ready now," the boy said softly. William's throat tightened. "Ready for what?" "To see again, if you believe it's possible." The absurdity of it made William's heart ache. He almost laughed, but the sound caught in his chest. Jasper stood slowly, stretching his stiff legs. For a moment, nothing happened. The old dog sniffed the air, then blinked. Long, slow blinks, as if waking from a dream. William knelt in front of Jasper, searching the cloudy eyes for any change. He saw nothing, no miracle, no magic, just the same blue haze, the same gentle confusion, and yet, when William reached out, Jasper lifted his head and looked straight at him. William froze. For months, Jasper had moved by scent and sound, always missing when William offered a treat or beckoned him forward. Now, the dog's gaze tracked his hand, followed the movement, locked onto William's face. The crowd murmured. Someone gasped. William felt his eyes sting with tears, too afraid to believe, too desperate not to hope. "Jasper," he whispered. Jasper took a tentative step, then another, eyes still fixed on William. He wagged his tail and let out a sharp, joyful bark. The boy smiled, his sightless eyes shining. "He sees you." William reached for Jasper, gathering the dog into his arms. The Labrador licked his face, turning to look at the boy as if in thanks. The crowd pressed closer. Someone began to record with their phone. Others just stared, rain forgotten. William turned to the boy, voice breaking. "How did you do this?" The boy shrugged. "Sometimes, if you lose enough in the dark, you learn to see with your heart. Jasper was lonely, so were you. I just helped you find each other again." William was speechless. No transaction, no payment, no promise of reward, just an impossible gift, given freely by a child with nothing to lose. He wanted to thank the boy, to offer him shelter, food, a warm bed, anything. But the boy only smiled, standing up, brushing grass from his knees. "Take care of him," the boy said quietly. "Sometimes, the hardest part is believing it's real." Before William could respond, the boy turned, tapping his cane on the wet path, and walked away. The crowd parted, silent and awestruck. William stared after the boy. Jasper pressed close against his leg. Both of them changed in ways words couldn't reach. Rain still fell, but for the first time in years, William felt warm inside. But as he wiped his tears and looked down at Jasper's eyes, clearer now, or was it just his own vision that had changed? He wondered, was this a miracle, or had the boy simply reminded him how to see what mattered? And somewhere, just beyond the park, the blind boy disappeared into the mist, leaving behind questions no science could answer and a story the city would never forget. William didn't sleep that night. He sat in his silent apartment, Jasper curled at his feet, the city's distant glow flickering on the windows. Every few minutes, he'd reach down and run his hand through Jasper's fur, whispering the dog's name, watching as the old Labrador looked up, following the motion, eyes clearer, maybe, than they'd been in months. Was it real, or was hope playing a cruel trick on him? He replayed the afternoon over and over. The rain, the boy's gentle hands, that whisper, "You can open your eyes, old friend." Jasper's head turning, the way his gaze found William's face without hesitation. The joyful bark that seemed to come from a place deeper than simple recognition. Yet in the quiet hours, William's doubts gnawed at him. Miracles didn't happen, not to people like him. Maybe Jasper had just learned to move by sound, by the scent of his master's skin. Maybe the boy had given them nothing but a beautiful illusion. But each time Jasper moved through the apartment, avoiding the coffee table, pausing at the threshold to let William pass, hope swelled inside him. By morning, William knew what he had to do. He had to find the boy. The park was empty when he arrived, the air scrubbed clean by last night's rain. William scanned every corner, eyes searching for the small barefoot figure with the white cane. He asked the gardener, the coffee vendor at the gate, the old couple who fed pigeons every day. Had they seen a blind boy, alone, perhaps in need of help? Everyone shook their head or simply shrugged. He walked the path where the miracle had happened, standing for a long time beneath the oak tree. He half expected the boy to emerge from the mist, smiling, but the park remained silent, just the soft tap of Jasper's nails on wet stone, the only evidence that the day before hadn't been a dream. As he left, he noticed something new. A woman approached, hesitant, her child trailing behind. "Excuse me," she asked, "is that the dog from yesterday, the one with the blind boy?" William hesitated, then nodded. Her eyes softened. "I saw what happened." "I think he really can see, can't he? It was like magic." William knelt beside Jasper, gently scratching his ears. "Sometimes it feels like magic," he admitted, "but I think it's something else. Kindness, maybe." The woman smiled, grateful just to share the wonder. As William walked home, more people stopped him, curious, hopeful, a little in awe. They asked about the boy, about Jasper. Some just wanted to touch the dog, to feel a bit of the miracle for themselves. The story was spreading word by word, step by step. That afternoon, William took Jasper to the veterinary clinic. Dr. Reyes, who had cared for Jasper since he was a puppy, examined him carefully, shining a light into his eyes, running gentle fingers over his head. William waited, tension knotting his shoulders. Finally, Dr. Reyes looked up, eyebrows raised in disbelief. "There's a change, William. The cataracts are less dense. I don't know how to explain it. He shouldn't be able to track movement, but he does. I've never seen anything like this in a dog his age." William exhaled slowly, emotions tumbling in his chest. "So he's healing?" "I don't know if I'd use that word," Dr. Reyes replied, voice soft. "But something has changed. It's remarkable." As William left the clinic, a sense of gratitude and confusion settled over him. He walked home slowly, Jasper's leash loose in his hand, the city buzzing all around. But William saw it differently now. He noticed the man helping his neighbor cross the street, the little girl giving her sandwich to a stray cat, the way Jasper stopped to sniff the flowers blooming between the cracks in the pavement. Everything seemed brighter, more connected. Yet the question remained. Who was the boy? How had he known? Why had he chosen them? William couldn't rest until he had answers. That evening, he returned to the park, watching the paths as dusk fell. This time, a few more people gathered near the old oak, whispering to each other. One woman had brought a bouquet of wildflowers, leaving them where the boy had sat. William waited until the streetlights blinked on, the air thick with the scent of rain and hope. But the boy didn't return. He began to fear he never would. As he turned to leave, Jasper tugged on the leash, pulling him toward a bench at the far end of the park. William followed, surprised by the dog's determination. On the bench sat a folded piece of paper, weighed down by a smooth stone. William picked it up, hands trembling. In careful, childish handwriting, the note read, "Sometimes you have to lose something to understand what it means to see. Don't be afraid. You'll find me again when you're ready to believe." No signature, just a single perfect line at the bottom, a drawing of a dog and a boy, walking side by side, smiling. William pressed the note to his heart, tears blurring the world. Somewhere in the city, the story was just beginning, but William knew deep down that he would never look at the world the same way again. Within 48 hours, the city's ordinary rhythms were shattered. It began with a single photo. William, kneeling beside Jasper, the boy's hand on the old dog's head. Someone in the crowd had captured the moment, uploading it to social media with a breathless caption, "A blind boy says he can make a dog see again. What happened next will restore your faith in miracles." By dawn, the story had gone viral. News vans parked along the edge of the park. Microphones and cameras crowded the old oak. Journalists, bloggers, and even self-styled miracle chasers arrived, each desperate for a quote, a testimony, a glimpse of the mysterious boy. William tried to ignore the chaos. He walked Jasper at dawn and dusk, hoping to slip through unnoticed. But everywhere he went, faces turned. People stopped him, asking, "Where's the boy? Did he do it again? How is Jasper today?" Children tugged their parents, pointing. Strangers reached out to touch Jasper's head, as if some magic might rub off on their own lives. William wanted to vanish, to protect the fragile peace he'd just found, but it was too late for anonymity. One morning, a television crew stopped him at the park gate. The reporter smiled, all teeth, and practiced empathy. "Mr. Morgan, can we have a word? Millions are touched by your story. Do you think the boy will return?" "What do you believe really happened?" William paused, Jasper leaning gently into his leg. He looked at the crowd, eager, hopeful, hungry for something real. He cleared his throat. "I believe in kindness," he said quietly, "and I believe in second chances. Maybe that's all a miracle really is." The reporter pressed on. "There are skeptics, of course. Some say it was a trick. Perhaps your dog was never truly blind. Others say you staged this for attention. What do you say to them?" William's chest tightened. The thought that anyone could cheapen what had happened stung more than he expected. Jasper was blind. Anyone who knows us can tell you. But what matters isn't whether you call it a miracle. What matters is how we treat each other, especially those who need us most. As he turned to go, a young woman stepped forward, voice trembling. "If you see the boy again, tell him thank you. My daughter has been afraid of dogs her whole life, but now she wants to meet Jasper." William smiled, his heart heavy and full at once. As the days passed, the attention didn't fade. Reporters began contacting Dr. Reyes, hoping for medical proof. One news site offered William a substantial sum to share his journey exclusively. Business partners and old friends sent messages, some supportive, others suspicious, a few hinting at profit. William declined every offer. He had no interest in fame or fortune, not anymore. But not all who came seeking were kind. A man in a suit arrived one afternoon, flashing credentials from a therapeutic innovation group. He offered to study Jasper, suggesting he could fund a new line of empathic animal therapies. When William refused, the man's tone turned cold. "You're wasting an opportunity, Mr. Morgan. Stories like this don't last. You could help millions, or you could fade into obscurity." William shut the door in his face, but anxiety gnawed at him. Could he protect Jasper and the boy, wherever he was, from this wave of attention? The pressure grew worse when a tabloid published an article. "Mysterious blind boy, is he a prodigy, an angel, or a hoax?" Some called it a miracle. Others accused William of exploiting a child or even fabricating the story for attention. William's phone rang endlessly. His inbox overflowed. Every walk in the park became a gauntlet of cameras and questions. Jasper felt the change, too. The dog stuck closer to William, shying from crowds, flinching at sudden flashes. William grew desperate. He wrote a letter and gave it to the local paper. "To the boy who changed our lives, if you're reading this, I need to see you again. Not for the world, but for myself and for Jasper. We miss you. We believe in you. Please, let us know you're safe." He waited, heart aching. Then, late one night, a quiet knock came at his door. William opened it, finding a figure standing in the rain, a girl of about 12, hair tied in a messy braid, her eyes filled with worry. She handed William a folded scrap of paper. "I saw him," she whispered. "The blind boy. He's at the shelter, by the old bridge. He's scared. He doesn't want to be on the news. But he misses Jasper." The girl turned and vanished into the darkness before William could thank her. He unfolded the note, hands trembling. "Jasper is a good dog. Please tell him I'm all right. I'll come back when it's safe. Thank you, sir, for believing in me." No name, just that same drawing of a dog and a boy side by side. William pressed the note to his chest, tears stinging his eyes. He knew what he had to do. The next morning, William rose before sunrise, driven by a sense of urgency he hadn't felt in years. The girl's whispered message echoed in his mind. "He's at the shelter, by the old bridge." He barely paused to change clothes, slipping Jasper's leash on and heading out into the quiet, misty streets. Everywhere he walked, the city seemed to pulse with rumor. Neighbors watched from behind curtains. At the corner, a reporter recognized him, snapping photos as he hurried by, but William didn't slow. Jasper walked at his side, more alert than ever, ears up, nose twitching, as if he too could sense they were searching for something precious. The shelter was small, tucked behind an abandoned church at the river's bend. William remembered it from years ago, when his children were young and his life was still whole. He pushed open the creaking gate, heart in his throat. A woman in a heavy sweater greeted him, eyes wary. "You're looking for someone?" William nodded. I heard there's a boy here. He's blind. I need to speak with him. It's very important." She hesitated, arms crossed. "A lot of people have come asking. Reporters, mostly. We try to keep him safe. He's just a kid." William's voice trembled with urgency and honesty. "I don't want to hurt him. I just need to know he's all right. He changed my life and my dog's. I have to thank him, that's all." Jasper sat at William's feet, tail wagging, looking up with soft, trusting eyes. The woman studied the pair, then softened. "Wait here." She disappeared inside. William waited, every nerve buzzing. From the street, he could hear the distant buzz of a camera crew arriving, their voices cutting through the morning stillness. He turned away, wishing he could hide Jasper from the world. The woman returned with a man, broad-shouldered, gentle eyes, who led William to a bench under a tree. "He's been through a lot," the man said. "Don't push him. He'll come if he wants to." Minutes passed. William watched Jasper sniff the grass, ears perked at every sound. His own thoughts spiraled. What would he say to the boy? Would he even be believed? Or would this, too, be twisted by strangers into something cheap and unreal? A shadow flickered at the edge of the yard. The boy appeared, cane tapping softly, his frame even smaller in the daylight. He stopped several feet away, hesitating. William stood, heart thudding. "Thank you for meeting me. I just wanted to see that you're safe. That's all." The boy nodded, his chin up, brave and wary at the same time. "I'm all right. Are you?" William knelt so they were level. Jasper trotted forward, tail wagging, pressing his nose into the boy's palm. The child smiled, gentle, luminous, as if the whole world faded in that moment. "I've never been on TV before," the boy said, voice trembling. "I don't want to be famous." William's chest tightened. "Neither do I. All I want is to thank you, for Jasper, for me. You gave us both something we thought was lost forever." The boy stroked Jasper's head. "He's a good dog. Sometimes dogs see what we can't. Sometimes people do too if they're not afraid." Around them, the shelter staff kept a watchful eye, stepping in whenever a stranger approached the fence. But word had spread. Soon, curious faces peered over the gate, voices murmuring about miracles, healing, and hope. A journalist called out, shoving a microphone through the bars, "Is this the boy? The one who healed the dog? Can we get a statement?" The boy shrank back, frightened. William stood protectively, voice steady. "Leave him alone. This isn't a story for you to sell. It's his life, his gift." The man with gentle eyes came over, placing a firm hand on the reporter's arm. "You've had your headlines. Let them be." The crowd retreated, reluctant, disappointed, but respectful, sensing a line they shouldn't cross. William turned back to the boy. Do you want to see Jasper again? Just us? No cameras?" The boy nodded. "Yes. Please." They walked together into a quiet corner of the yard, away from prying eyes. William sat beside him on the grass. Jasper sprawled happily between them. For a long time, nobody spoke. The city's noise faded, replaced by the rustle of leaves, the gentle river, the dog's soft breaths. Finally, William found his voice. "How did you know what to do?" The boy smiled, tilting his face to the sky. "Sometimes when you can't see with your eyes, you learn to listen with your heart. Jasper needed someone to believe he could heal. So did you." Tears stung William's eyes, not for the miracle itself, but for the simplicity of the answer. The boy reached out, finding William's hand. "You're not alone anymore, sir. Neither is Jasper." William squeezed his hand, feeling a connection deeper than gratitude, something like faith or forgiveness. In that moment, the doubts and fear fell away. The boy was safe, Jasper was whole, and William, for the first time in years, believed he might be too. Word of the boy's whereabouts traveled faster than William could have imagined. By midday, the shelter was no longer a refuge, but the eye of a storm. Crowds gathered along the fence, some carrying cameras, others clutching notebooks or business cards. A handful were parents with sick children in their arms, hoping for their own miracle. Security guards hired by the shelter did their best, but the world's hunger for hope had become a force no door could hold. William watched, helpless, as the place transformed. Police cruisers rolled by, keeping order. A white van emblazoned with the logo of a national talk show idled at the curb. Every hour, someone tried to slip a note, a gift, or a bribe to the shelter staff. Inside, the boy sat quietly with Jasper, the dog's head in his lap. His hands moved gently, reading the dog's mood, as if nothing outside the walls could reach them. But William saw the tension in his small shoulders, the way he flinched at every burst of laughter or shout from the crowd. The shelter director approached William in the office, her face drawn and worried. "I'm sorry, Mr. Morgan. We can't protect him much longer. Reporters are calling the city, and I've had 2 government agents request interviews. They say they're with child welfare." One hinted that the boy's miraculous abilities might justify special research. William felt rage spark inside him. "He's not an experiment. He's a child." She nodded. "I know, but I don't have the power to stop them. If things get worse, we might have to call social services for his own safety." William's heart pounded. He thought of the boy's soft voice, his fear of being on TV, the trust that had grown between them, all that would vanish if the system swallowed him up. He made a decision. "Let me speak to him." Alone. She nodded, ushering him to the small room where the boy waited with Jasper. The boy sat on a cot, tracing the curve of Jasper's ear. He looked up as William entered, his blind eyes clouded with worry. "It's loud today," he whispered. "They want something from me." William knelt beside him. "They want what they don't understand, but you don't owe them anything." The boy nodded. "People come and go. I used to hope someone would stay. Now, I'm just scared they'll take me somewhere I can't find Jasper again." A sharp knock interrupted them. The shelter director opened the door, a police officer at her side. "There are 2 men here from Child Protective Services. They say the boy must be taken into temporary custody for his own well-being." The officer's tone was not unkind, but William saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes, a man torn between rules and conscience. The boy shrank against the wall, clutching Jasper. William rose and voice firm but respectful. "This child is not in danger here. He's safe, cared for, and loved. Please, don't make things worse for him." The officer hesitated. "There are protocols, sir. And, frankly, there's pressure from above. The media, city officials, even health authorities. They all want a piece of this." William stepped forward, lowering his voice so only the officer could hear. "I'm asking you, as a human being, to give him time. He's just a child." The officer's face softened. "I'll do what I can, but I can't stop them all. If you have family, or someone who can claim him as a guardian, it would help. Otherwise, I don't know how long we can wait." The director looked at William. "You could apply for temporary custody. With your resources, you might keep him safe." William's mind reeled. Was he ready for this? To open his life and heart so completely again? To fight for a boy he'd met only days before, simply because no one else would? He turned to the boy, voice trembling. "Would you trust me to look after you for a while? Just until things calm down?" The boy nodded, tears glistening on his cheeks. "Yes, if Jasper can come too." William smiled. "I wouldn't dream of leaving him behind." The director began gathering paperwork, moving fast as the crowd outside swelled. William signed forms, answered questions, gave his promise. As night fell, the city's noise only grew. Rumors spread on the news that the miracle boy had been taken under the wing of a millionaire. Some called William a hero, others a manipulator. None of them knew the truth. He was just a man trying to do what was right. That evening, as William, the boy, and Jasper left the shelter through a back exit, flashbulbs burst in the dark and voices shouted their names. William shielded the boy with his arm, pushing through the chaos. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, only that the world outside wasn't ready to let go of its need for wonder, and that real kindness would be harder to protect than any miracle. As they climbed into the car and disappeared into the night, William glanced in the rearview mirror. A single black sedan followed, headlights dim, never closing the distance. He realized then, some forces were even more persistent than hope. The car sped through the night, city lights fading behind as William guided them toward the quiet suburbs. The boy sat in the back seat beside Jasper, one hand always resting on the dog's fur, his head bowed in exhaustion. William's mind raced with worries about legal risks, about the media, about the unknown black sedan that had shadowed them all the way to the gates of his private neighborhood. As the house came into view, a modern home set back from the road hedged by old trees, William felt a fleeting sense of relief. For a moment, he could pretend this was just an ordinary night, bringing a child and a beloved dog home. Inside, the mood shifted. The walls muffled the world's noise. William helped the boy out of his coat and led him to the kitchen, offering food and a warm drink. Jasper, free from the leash, circled the living room, sniffing every familiar corner, tail wagging with cautious hope. The boy sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug of cocoa, his face softening as he listened to the gentle hum of the dishwasher and the rain against the glass. "It's quiet here," he whispered. William smiled. "It's safe here. For now, at least." He cooked a simple dinner: pasta with butter and cheese, toast cut into triangles, apples sliced thin. The boy ate slowly, savoring every bite as if it might disappear at any moment. Jasper curled at his feet, sighing contentedly, the tension of the day slowly melting from his tired body. For a while, there was peace. William asked nothing, offered nothing but presence and patience. The boy spoke little, but when he did, his words revealed a wisdom that stung the heart. "People think miracles are loud," he said, voice soft, "but sometimes they're just quiet things, like someone holding your hand when you're afraid." After dinner, William showed him to a guest room, small but warm, with soft blankets and a window overlooking the garden. "You can stay as long as you like," he promised. The boy nodded, pressing his palm to the window as if memorizing the sound of rain. That night, William couldn't sleep. He paced the hallway, phone buzzing with unanswered calls, lawyers warning him about custody risks, journalists demanding interviews, his own children texting to ask if the tabloids were true. He glanced out the window. The black sedan was parked down the street, engine idling. It never moved. but it never left. The following morning brought no respite. A sharp knock rattled the door at sunrise. William answered, shoulders squared. Two men in plain clothes flashed badges. Child Welfare Services. We need to see the boy. There's concern for his safety and his legal status. William's heart pounded. He's resting. He's safe here. They pushed gently but firmly. You're not his guardian. This is an unusual situation, Mr. Morgan. A minor in your care, involved in a high-profile incident. There are protocols we have to follow. William refused to let them in. I've filed for emergency custody. My lawyer's on his way. Unless you have a warrant, you'll wait outside. The men exchanged a look but retreated for now. William locked the door, his hands shaking. He moved to the boy's room and found him sitting on the edge of the bed, Jasper at his side. They're here for me, aren't they? The boy asked, voice calm but sad. William sat beside him. They just want to understand. I'll keep you safe. The boy smiled faintly. You don't have to. I'm used to running. William's heart broke. Not anymore, I promise. He tried to distract the boy with small things, helping him brush Jasper's coat, letting him feel the shapes of the garden's flowers, showing him the piano in the parlor. For a time, laughter echoed through the house, light and genuine, but questions lingered. At lunch, as sunlight filtered through the windows, William tried gently. Where did you come from? Do you have family somewhere? The boy hesitated, hands folded in his lap. I don't remember much. I've lived in lots of places. Sometimes people were kind. Sometimes they just wanted to see if I could do what I did with Jasper. I ran away when it got too much. William nodded, pain in his chest. You're safe here, he repeated. No one will use you. A sudden crash from the front porch made them both jump. William hurried to the window. Someone had thrown a stone, shattering a flower pot. The black sedan was gone, but two strangers lingered by the gate, arguing with a guard. Voices rose, angry and insistent. William's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You can't keep him forever. Everyone wants their miracle. He locked every door, drew every blind. Inside, in that fragile bubble of warmth and hope, William wondered how long peace could possibly last. The siege tightened as the week wore on. Every day brought more reporters, more officials, more strangers knocking, sometimes gentle, more often aggressive. William's phone was a litany of threats and offers. Interviews, book deals, court orders, veiled demands from institutions claiming they could help the boy if only given access. William tried to shield the boy, keeping him inside, letting Jasper patrol the hallways, always by the child's side. But tension gnawed at the edges of every quiet moment. Even a simple breakfast was punctuated by the distant whine of drone cameras hovering above the yard, the angry murmur of voices at the gate, the flashing blue of police lights on the street. One afternoon, a city official arrived with two police officers and a folded legal document. Mr. Morgan, you are hereby ordered to present the minor to child welfare for assessment. If you refuse, we will be forced to pursue legal action. William's lawyer, pale and sweating, argued on the phone while William tried to reason face to face. He's safe here. He's not a danger. He needs peace, not more interrogations. The official was unmoved. You have 24 hours to comply. That evening, the boy sensed the change. He sat quietly in the garden, Jasper's head in his lap. You can't stop them forever, can you? He asked, not accusing, just tired. William crouched down, meeting his blank gaze. No, but I can try. Or we can go somewhere they can't find you, if you want that. The boy's hands shook as he stroked Jasper's fur. I'm tired of running, but I don't want to hurt anyone, or be hurt. A long silence stretched between them. As dusk fell, an unexpected visitor arrived. A woman in her 50s, silver hair braided, walking with a cane. She introduced herself softly. My name is Sarah. I was once where you are now. People wanted something from me too, when I was a girl. I've come to help. William's guard went up, but there was something gentle and truthful in her voice. Sarah explained, there's a network, people who protect children like him. Gifted, different, whatever you want to call it. We can hide him, but it means leaving everything behind. Or you can fight here in the open. Sometimes the world is changed not by miracles, but by those who stand up and say, "Enough." William looked at the boy. "It's your choice." The boy's lips trembled. "I'm tired of hiding, but I'm scared." Sarah smiled. "Courage isn't not being afraid. It's standing still, even when you are." Night fell heavy. William called a family meeting. His estranged daughter arrived, drawn by the headlines. She surprised him by hugging the boy, then her father. "We'll stand with you. We'll testify. We'll make them see he's not a threat, he's a blessing." Word spread. Neighbors brought food and words of support. Parents whose children had been changed by Jasper's story wrote letters. Even Dr. Reyes appeared on television, testifying that no harm had come, only healing. But the threats continued. A rock smashed a window. A note was slid under the door. "You can't keep him. We know what he is." The boy cried that night, for the first time since he arrived. William sat by his bed, holding his hand. "You're not alone. No matter what happens, I'll be with you." At dawn, as news vans circled the block, William opened the door to the reporters, the officials, the neighbors gathered in defiance. He spoke, voice steady and clear, with the boy and Jasper at his side. "This is not a miracle to be bought or sold. This is a child who deserves love and peace. We won't run. We won't hide. We'll fight for his right to be safe and for everyone who's ever been different." The crowd murmured, some hostile, some moved to tears. Sarah joined him on the steps, her presence calming the storm. Let him choose his own path. In that moment, the world seemed to pause, waiting for the next move. From the crowd, a voice shouted, "Let the boy speak." The boy stepped forward, trembling but brave. "I only wanted to help. I never wanted all this. But I'm not afraid anymore. Jasper taught me what it means to be seen." His words rippled through the assembly. Some wept openly, others argued. Officials huddled, unsure how to proceed. As the sky brightened, the future hung in the balance. Tension, hope, and fear wound tight as a spring, and William knew, whatever happened next, their lives would never be the same. The courthouse was nothing like William remembered. Cold stone, buzzing lights, the echo of footsteps down long, anxious halls. It felt like the whole city had turned out. Reporters pressed behind ropes, police on every corner, onlookers whispering rumors that seemed to grow stranger by the hour. William held the boy's hand tightly as they walked past cameras and shouting voices. Jasper padded along, calm and steady, a living anchor amid the storm. Inside, the courtroom was packed. Officials from child welfare, doctors, city representatives, lawyers for networks and charities, all waiting to stake their claim. At the front, a stern-faced judge peered over his glasses, tapping a gavel for silence. The first to testify was Dr. Reyes. She spoke clearly, refusing to sensationalize. "Yes, Jasper's sight improved after the boy's touch. There's no medical explanation. But I saw no harm, only compassion and healing. If this is a miracle, it's one of kindness." William took the stand next. His hands shook, but his voice was strong. "I never asked for a miracle. I only wanted my friend to have one last chance to see the world. What happened changed us. Not just Jasper and me, but everyone who saw it. The boy deserves peace and not exploitation." Opposing lawyers pressed hard. "Mr. Morgan, are you exploiting this child for attention? For financial gain?" William shook his head. "No. I'm trying to protect him from people who would." The shelter director spoke, recounting how the boy had arrived quietly, how he avoided attention, how he wanted nothing but safety. "He's not a phenomenon. He's a child who's been let down too many times." Sarah, the silver-haired woman, testified too. "I've known what it's like to be hunted for something you can't explain. The worst thing we can do is turn wonder into fear." Finally, the judge turned to the boy himself. The room held its breath. The boy's voice trembled, but he stood tall. "I didn't want to be special. I just wanted to help Jasper, because I knew what it felt like to be lost in the dark. I'm not a miracle. I'm just me." A hush fell. Even the cameras seemed to pause. Then came the experts. Scientists, government officials, men with charts and theories. Some spoke of research, the greater good, the need to study the boy for human advancement. Others argued for custody, citing protocol and precedent. Sarah stood, fierce. "He is not an object. He is not yours. You have no right to take his freedom." The judge listened to every word. The proceedings stretched into the afternoon, voices rising and falling, emotions raw. The boy held Jasper's fur, gaze unseeing but unafraid. Finally, the judge asked, "Has the boy any family anywhere?" The room fell silent. William started to speak, but the boy squeezed his hand. "I have a family now," he said quietly. "William, Jasper, Sarah, everyone who cared when I had nothing." Tears stung William's eyes. In that instant, the courtroom's hard edges seemed to soften. After a long deliberation, the judge returned. His voice was solemn. "The law cannot explain what happened, but it can defend a child's right to safety and dignity. Effective immediately, William Morgan is granted temporary guardianship with continued oversight from child welfare. The boy will remain in his care, provided his well-being is preserved." The crowd erupted, some in relief, others in outrage, reporters surging forward for comment. But the judge was not finished. "Furthermore," he continued, "the court orders a moratorium on all research or medical intervention involving the child. He is to be protected from unwanted contact by institutions or the media." William wept, hugging the boy as Jasper barked, tail wagging wildly. Sarah squeezed his shoulder. "You did it." Outside, the world waited for a statement. William stepped into the sunlight, the boy and Jasper at his side. He spoke not as a millionaire, but as a man remade. "Miracles are not meant to be possessed. They are meant to be shared and protected. Thank you for believing in us." Cameras flashed. The crowd buzzed. But as they moved away from the courthouse, William felt the weight lift, if only for a moment. But not all were satisfied. In the shade across the street, the black sedan idled. Behind the tinted glass, someone watched, waiting. William sensed it. The story was not over. The true test and the greatest choices were yet to come. For a while, it felt like peace had finally arrived. The days at William's house were gentle and new. The boy, for the first time in his memory, had a routine. Breakfast at the kitchen table, walks in the garden with Jasper, afternoons spent learning the piano or listening to stories read aloud. Laughter filled the rooms where for years only silence had lived. Even William's daughter returned more often, forging a slow, careful bond with the child her father had chosen to protect. Outside, the noise faded. The press moved on, chasing fresher scandals. Letters arrived from people all over the world, some sharing stories of their own pain, others simply thanking the boy for reminding them that kindness still mattered. William shielded him from most of it, reading only the gentlest lines aloud. Sarah visited often, always bringing some small gift. A book in Braille, a box of sweets, an old recording of her favorite lullabies. She became family, an anchor for both William and the boy. Jasper thrived. His eyes remained a little cloudy, but his confidence and joy were unmistakable. He no longer stumbled into furniture, and when William tossed a ball across the lawn, Jasper chased it, barking with glee. It was a life William had never dared hope for. Yet even in peace, old shadows lingered. Sometimes, William caught the boy staring into the distance, fingers twisting the hem of his sleeve, his body tense as if listening for a danger no one else could sense. One night, thunder rolled over the city, and the boy startled awake, calling for William. "Don't let them take me," he whispered, voice cracking with fear. William sat beside him until dawn, holding his hand, repeating, "You're safe. No one will ever take you again." But the fear never fully left. As weeks passed, small things began to unsettle the calm. A strange car parked across the street for hours, then vanished when William approached. Phone calls from blocked numbers, no voice, just silence. Jasper grew wary on walks, sometimes pausing, ears flat, as if sensing something unseen. One afternoon, as William and the boy worked together in the garden, a letter arrived with no return address. The handwriting was elegant, precise. William opened it with trembling hands. "You cannot keep what does not belong to you. The world has questions, and soon It will demand answers. Be ready. William hid the letter, but the weight of its threat settled on his shoulders. At dinner, he found himself watching the boy more closely, searching for signs of distress. The child seemed lighter that evening, laughing at Jasper's antics, asking for a second helping of dessert. William wondered if he should tell him about the letter, but decided against it for now. Sarah called, her tone more serious than usual. "I've heard whispers," she warned. "There are people, powerful people, who won't accept the court's decision. They may come quietly or they may not, but they're watching." William clenched his jaw. "We'll be ready. I won't let anyone hurt him." Sarah sighed. "Just don't underestimate them. This isn't about science or even the law. Some people see miracles as things to possess." That night, William reinforced the locks, checked the cameras, walked the property line twice before bed, but sleep brought no rest. The next morning, the boy was quiet. At breakfast, he pushed his food around the plate, then turned to William with troubled eyes. "Last night, I dreamed I was back in the dark. I couldn't find you, or Jasper, or Sarah. I was alone, and everyone wanted something from me. My hands, my heart, my gift." William's heart broke. He knelt beside the boy, voice fierce. "You're not alone. You never will be again. I promise." The boy nodded, but fear lingered in his voice. "Do you believe promises can keep people safe?" William swallowed hard. "I believe in love, and I believe in you. That has to be enough." But the world outside was shifting again. That afternoon, while the boy napped and William cleaned up the kitchen, Jasper began to bark, loud, sharp, urgent. William ran to the front window. A black van idled at the curb. Two figures in dark suits stepped out, scanning the house, moving with purpose. William's phone buzzed, an automated security alert, unauthorized entry at back gate. Heart pounding. He grabbed his phone and rushed to the boy's room. The boy was awake, clutching Jasper. "They're here, aren't they?" he whispered, terror flickering in his blind eyes. William nodded, pulling him close. "Stay with me. We'll face this together." Jasper barked again, bracing himself between William and the door. From the hallway, footsteps echoed, measured, relentless. William stood, shielding the boy and the dog with his body. He had protected a miracle. Now, he would have to fight for it. And as the door handle turned, everything hung in the balance. The front door shook as the figures outside pounded harder, a dull thud reverberating through the walls. William's heart hammered as he stood between the boy and the door. Jasper pressed close, teeth bared, but body trembling. "Open up, Mr. Morgan," a voice called. Calm, measured, terrifyingly confident. "We have authorization. Stand aside. This is for the child's welfare." William's hands tightened into fists. He recognized the language of people who believed their power was absolute. He shouted back, "You're not coming in without a warrant, and you're not taking him." No answer, just the click of a lockpick at the back. A second later, glass shattered. One of the men had smashed a window and was climbing in. Jasper lunged, barking with all his might, forcing the man to stumble back. William grabbed the boy's hand, pulling him into the hallway, away from the breaking glass and toward the safety of the panic room he'd prepared, a small, reinforced space at the end of the hall. But the intruders were quick. Another figure appeared at the kitchen door, dressed in a dark suit, eyes cold, badge glinting. "Enough games, Mr. Morgan. The world deserves answers. That boy belongs to science, to everyone." William planted himself in the doorway. "He belongs to no one but himself. If you have questions, ask them here. If you want to help, start by listening. But if you lay one hand on him..." Jasper growled low, hackles raised. The boy shrank behind William, his small hands trembling. The man's expression never changed. "You think you can protect him forever? You're just one man against the world's curiosity. Miracles don't belong in private." Suddenly, Sarah appeared behind them, having slipped in through the back while chaos reigned outside. "And cruelty doesn't belong in science," she said sharply. "What's done in the name of progress can also destroy." More voices rose outside, the neighbors, drawn by the noise, shouting for police. Sirens began to wail in the distance, but the men in suits pressed forward, Undeterred, William felt the moment crystallize. This wasn't just a fight for one boy or one miracle. It was the line between respect and exploitation, love and possession. He spoke, voice shaking but clear. You have all the power, money, law, even public opinion, but I have the truth. And so does everyone watching, everyone listening. If you take him, you'll have to do it in front of the world. The cameras are here. The people are here. You can't hide what you are. The man paused, glancing toward the front yard where a crowd had begun to gather, phones raised, filming everything. The boy stepped forward, voice trembling but sure. You don't need to be afraid of what you don't understand. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just want to live, to be loved like anyone else. Jasper nudged the boy's hand, as if adding his own plea. The silence grew heavy. The man seemed to hesitate, uncertain for the first time in the face of so much raw humanity. Outside, the police arrived, officers flooding the yard, demanding to see identification. The men in suits flashed badges but offered no real explanations. Neighbors closed ranks around the house, some shouting at the officials, others offering to testify. Sarah moved beside William and the boy, her voice calm. It's over. You're not alone anymore. In that suspended moment, the world seemed to tilt. William felt his fear melting away, replaced by something fierce, pride, love, defiance. But just as hope began to rise, one of the men, frustrated, desperate, lunged toward the boy, grabbing his arm. Jasper snapped, sinking his teeth into the man's sleeve, forcing him to let go. The boy stumbled back, but Sarah caught him. Police stormed inside, drawing their weapons. Hands up! Step away from the child. The men surrendered, faces hard and defeated. William wrapped the boy and Jasper in his arms, heart pounding. Outside, the crowd erupted, cheering, shouting, some even crying. The police chief turned to William. You did right, sir. He's safe now. But William knew safety was always fragile. He looked into the boy's face, seeing not just fear, but hope. We're not done yet, he whispered, but we're together. That's what matters. As the house emptied of strangers and the night settled, William knew the true climax had yet to come. For the world was still watching, and the boy's greatest test and gift was still ahead. The morning after the siege, William's house became a place of gathering. The world wanted answers. TV vans, journalists, neighbors, and strangers all crowded the street. City officials tried to restore calm, but the story was too big, too human to be contained by rules or threats. Everyone had seen the live streams, the chaos, the raw courage of a child choosing to stand in the light instead of running. William understood that they could no longer hide. He prepared himself, dressing carefully, helping the boy into his favorite sweater, and brushing Jasper until his coat gleamed. Together they stepped outside, Sarah at their side, met by a hush that swept over the crowd. At the end of the drive, a podium had been hastily set up by city leaders. The mayor spoke first, her words serious. Today, we gather not for a spectacle, but to remember who we are when we face what we do not understand. This boy and his companions have shown us something rare: courage, love, and the willingness to believe. Reporters raised their hands, demanding details, clamoring for a repeat of the miracle. Some challenged William. Will the boy heal another dog? Is it true? Was it all a trick? Others just pleaded for hope. William took a deep breath. What happened here was never about a show. It was about kindness, about seeing the world through someone else's eyes, especially those we overlook or fear. The boy stood beside him, trembling but resolute. I can't make everyone see again. I can't fix every sadness, but I know what it feels like to be alone. I know what it means to have someone believe in you. A hush fell. A reporter called out, "What do you want us to do? What do you want to say to the world?" The boy's lips parted, voice soft but steady. Don't look for miracles. Be one. When someone is lost, help them find their way. When someone is afraid, be their courage. That's all I ever tried to do for Jasper and for Mr. William, and now I want to do it for anyone who needs it. In the crowd, people wiped their eyes. A young mother approached, her daughter clinging to her leg, and knelt in front of the boy. You gave us hope. My little girl isn't afraid of dogs anymore. Thank you." The mayor nodded, eyes shining. "This city is your home, and we will protect you, not because you're different, but because you're ours." One by one, neighbors stepped forward, offering words of support, gifts of flowers, handshakes, and above all, acceptance. The moment was captured by every camera, every phone, streaming live to the world. Sarah stepped up and spoke for all those who had ever been different. The real miracle is in the hearts that open, in the people who choose kindness over fear. William felt tears in his eyes as he embraced the boy and Jasper, knowing this was the moment he'd feared and prayed for, not spectacle, but belonging. A scientist from a nearby university, once eager to claim the boy for research, simply bowed his head and said, "We have much to learn about science, about humility, about love." Jasper barked, a joyful, bright sound that rippled through the crowd. Children laughed, and the boy knelt, hugging the dog as if all the world's troubles had melted for that instant. As the sun broke through the clouds, it felt as if the entire city breathed again. No official decree, no medical explanation, no scientific study could take away what everyone had witnessed. The miracle was not in sight restored, but in hearts transformed. William spoke quietly, one last time, into the microphones. "This is not the end, but a beginning. We'll face tomorrow together, as a family, as a community, as people who choose to see each other, truly see." The crowd erupted in applause, not for a boy with a gift, but for the ordinary, extraordinary miracle of acceptance. And as the cameras faded, the city held its breath, changed. But even as hope blossomed, William knew life would not always be this bright. There would be more tests, more shadows. Yet for now they had won, not through magic, but by trusting what really mattered. In the silence after, the boy leaned into William, whispering, "Thank you for letting me belong." William smiled through his tears. "Thank you for teaching me how." Jasper wagged his tail, the symbol of a new era, one where love and not fear led the way. The city slowly returned to itself. The crowds withdrew, the headlines faded, and the world's gaze turned to other wonders. But within William's home, something had changed forever, something no camera could capture, something that quietly stitched itself into the rhythm of their days. The boy, once anonymous and adrift, found his place in a family not bound by blood, but by choice and care. Each morning, he woke to the sound of Jasper's paws on the floorboards, the gentle clink of dishes from the kitchen, and William's soft greeting, always the same. "Good morning, son." He learned to play the piano, his fingers finding melody through the braille dots Sarah taught him to read. He learned to laugh at the small absurdities of life, to savor homemade soup, to help William plant flowers in the garden. He learned what it meant to be truly seen, not for a gift or a miracle, but for who he was. William, too, was transformed. The old ache of loneliness was replaced by the daily chaos of family, late-night talks in the living room, the challenge of homework, even the surprise of Jasper tracking mud across the carpet. He rediscovered a part of himself he thought long lost, the capacity to nurture, to hope, to let go of fear. Sarah became a constant presence. She moved into a small cottage nearby, always ready with advice, stories, or a home-cooked meal. She and the boy would sit together for hours, sharing the quiet language of those who have known what it means to be different and to be loved despite it. Even William's daughter returned, her relationship with her father growing stronger, rooted in the example of compassion she saw between him and the boy. She found herself laughing more, worrying less, believing again in the healing power of family. As for Jasper, the world's most famous Labrador, his days were filled with sun-dappled walks, games of fetch, and gentle naps with his head in the boy's lap. Though his sight remained imperfect, his spirit was boundless, a testament to the truth that healing is not always about what is lost, but about what is found. Seasons changed. Autumn leaves fell and winter's hush covered the city in white. Through it all, the family endured, not untouched by hardship, but resilient. There were moments when the past threatened to return, the odd letter, the cautious call from an official, a stranger's gaze lingering too long. But the community, once skeptical, became their greatest shield. Neighbors checked in often. The mayor herself visited, promising that the city's doors would always remain open. The boy was enrolled in a local school for the visually impaired, where he made new friends and, in turn, offered them hope. One cold afternoon, as snow fell softly outside, William found the boy by the window, a quiet smile on his face. "Do you miss the way things were before?" William asked as sitting beside him. The boy shook his head. "No, I only miss the people I haven't met yet. And I'm not afraid anymore, not with you and Jasper and Sarah." William squeezed his shoulder, a rush of gratitude filling his chest. "You've changed us all. You brought us back to life." The boy smiled. "You taught me it was okay to ask for help and to let myself be loved." They sat in silence, watching Jasper chase snowflakes across the yard, the laughter of family echoing through the house. As spring arrived, the world felt new again. Flowers bloomed, and with them hope. The boy, now part of every heart in that little corner of the city, was simply a child among children, sometimes wise beyond his years, sometimes just silly and full of joy. He became a quiet legend, not for miracles performed, but for kindness shared. People whispered his story in barbershops and bakeries, not to exploit it, but to remember what was possible when compassion won. One evening, as twilight colored the sky, William stood on the porch, the boy and Jasper at his side. He looked up at the stars, breathed in the night, and felt at peace. "We've come a long way," he said softly. The boy nodded. "And there's more ahead. But now I know I'll never walk alone." Jasper barked, tail wagging, as if in agreement. In that moment, William understood that some miracles were not about changing the world, but about changing one heart at a time, and that was more than enough. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because here, every story is a celebration of courage, kindness, and second chances. And if you want to discover another unforgettable tale of hope and healing, click on the video right here. Thank you for watching. Remember, sometimes the greatest miracles are the people who choose to love against all odds.